you doing? I'm Carey, president of Fish Sense Inc., the maker of the Binsky, this blade bait right here. I get a lot of questions, a lot of emails about how to fish this bait, the equipment you use. Today we got a great day on the water. Weather conditions look really good. It's pretty chilly. We have water temps of about 46 degrees we're reading right now, and we're going to put a hurting on them today. The equipment we're using today right here is a 7-foot Kistler medium action fast tip, which is very important. With a fast tip, you're going to be able to feel that vibration easy. Plus, you want that little bit of give when the fish pick up this bait. If you got a slow tip and it's too stiff, you'll feel a whack and you're not going to hook them, and you're not going to get the feedback as much. I use both bait casting and spinning rods. In this case, this is bait casting with a 7-to-1 gear ratio, which I really like because a lot of times when you're throwing this bait out there, the fish are hitting it on that fall, that slack, and you need to get a good initial quick hook set and then get another one before fighting. And it really helps you take up that slack quick, especially in between hops. Spinning rods are really good when temperatures get really cold and you have some wind out there. The bait casters with the small guides, you're going to get ice in them, so that's when a lot of times when I switch to spinning, or when I use the 1/4 ounce bait, I'll use the spinning rod more. The line I use, most common, I use 12-pound test mono. If you're getting into this and you feel a little uncomfortable about trying to feel the vibration and whether you're doing it right, braid will give you great feedback, and you'll feel that vibration really good. With braid though, I find I don't like to use it around rocks a lot. If you do, use a fluorocarbon mono leader, because braid just doesn't give you the advantage of seeing abrasions. If you come across a fine edge on a rock, it's just going to cut. At least mono or fluorocarbon is going to give you the advantage of checking for abrasions and be able to retie. I use Trilene XT. I've gone as light as 8-pound test, as high as 15 to 17, depending on the cover I'm fishing. And I find 12-pound test is a nice happy medium. I always have a bottle of line conditioner on the boat. It is important to have nice straight line, because if part of your cadence is pulling out curly line, it's giving you really a false idea of how much movement it's taking to move the bait. So I always have a bottle of Real Magic in my boat to keep that line straight. Alright, right now we're using a 1/2 ounce gold Binsky. We're fishing off some rock piles here, and we're sitting about 18 foot of water, and we're going to cast this out. You're going to make sure you pull enough slack, and we're just pulling it down a ledge. And you want to make sure you got enough slack as you watch that fall. A lot of times the initial fall, you'll see your line jump, and even during your retrieve, that you need to watch out for that, because that's when your strikes happen. Now it's important to let your bait fall on a semi-taut line. You want to see that bow gently slope into the water. The reason why is if you keep your line too tight and you're coming down a ledge, you want to get every part of that ledge. If you let your line get too tight, you're going to swing right away from it, and if there's fish sitting there, you're going to go right over their head. So you want to get that nice slope, and you follow it down every time. And as you get into a groove here, you get into a rhythm, how you see your bait come up and boom, hit the bottom, up, boom, hit the bottom. And you want to watch that slope go into the water, because sometimes what you'll notice is your bait's coming up and dropping, coming up, dropping. And then all of a sudden you'll lift up, and all of a sudden it takes a lot more slack. And again, you want to have enough slack so it gets every part of that drop, and so it doesn't swing away and go over a fish's head. That's very important. Another thing is, you need to pay attention to every detail. You need to feel the bottom. A lot of times you'll be fishing along, or I'll be fishing along, and I feel the bottom's very soft and very mushy. And all of a sudden I'll reel up, I let it hit bottom, and it almost feels like a hit. That bottom gets real hard, gravelly, and the fish will be holding there. Next hop or two, boom, I get a strike. It's really important to pay attention to those details. You have to think of that bait and the feedback you're getting on bottoms, like having an extra hand down there feeling around. For deflecting off a boulder to coming across a wood pile, just a couple sticks on bottom is enough to hold fish. So you need to pay attention to all that. There we go. This guy was pretty aggressive. He hit it on the lift. It's coming up. I don't think this is a striper.
It's a bass. Yep.
Go. It's not a bad little largemouth to start the day. That fish was pretty aggressive. He hit on the lift, so even though most of your hits are going to hit on the fall, you never know. It's important to pay attention. He hit right on the top of my Cadence. Alright, one of our biggest questions now is Cadence. How do you jig this thing? Really think of it as like you're jigging a Texas rig worm or jig. I'm just whipping this out here, right up on the drop. Again, pulling out some slack, watching that bait fall until I see it hit bottom. And I just do a pull. That's really all I'm doing, is engaging the blade, and just till I feel a couple thumps and I drop it down. You could do a snap more, like that. You're just popping it. Three key things is how aggressive, how high you come up, and how long you let it sit between hops. Those are the three major important things here. And as you work over a school of fish, sometimes this needs to be changed. Don't be afraid to mix it up. You know, you read a lot of articles, and you know, most of the time it's like 6 to 12 inches, or just till you feel a couple vibes, but you have to mix it up. You never know how the fish are going to react, especially different species. I've been on schools of lake trout where you're hammering them, jigging it, and then all of a sudden they turn off. And I see they're still on my fish finder, but what I do then is I drop it down and I just reel it straight up, and your rod will just load up, and that gets them going. Or sometimes you switch from a really aggressive cadence after you've been working fish over for a while, and you do a slower short hop. Good aggressive fish, it's a good sign for the day. One thing this fish set up perfectly to mention is the fight, which is what I like to say is fight the cold fight. When you fish these baits, a lot of times fish will come up on it, especially when the water temperature gets cold. They'll turn on it, and the next move you make, they just barely suck on it, or they swipe at it, and you'll catch a lot of fish barely hooked under the chin and in the cheek, outside of the cheek. So it's really important when you set that hook and you start fighting this fish, just constant pressure, and that is it. I take a lot of guys out, and you know, I guess they watch a lot of TV, and when they're fighting these fish, they're losing them, and I'm watching them fight the fish, and they're doing this and this and this, no reason. It cracks me up, and it just drives me crazy. You just want to keep constant steady pressure. Just follow the fish. Make sure your drag is set good. The only reason you want to switch position is maybe to keep them away from something in the water, wood, your trolling motor, or maybe to keep them from jumping. But it's really important when you're trying not to lose these fish and keep them on your hook, is to just keep steady pressure. Another thing associated with that is your drag. If you switch up and you're using braid, make sure your drag is set a little lighter, because with no stretch you don't want to pull these hooks out, and that's important to remember. Just experimenting right now with just a pull and a quick snap. Another thing I like to do is a double pump sometimes. And sometimes when I lift up, it's almost like catching a ball. Like I bring that Binsky up and I like catch it at the top of, just got whacked. Just got whacked at the top of that cadence, just like I said. Hold it up there almost for a second, you know? And you're laying it back down, you know? Right at the top of that jig, lay it back down. Here he is. There he was. Steady pressure. It's good to throw a marker buoy with these things because they'll tow your boat around. Nice one, nice one. And he got me a little wet right there. A little payback. These last two fish are real quality here. Fat fish. Nice fish. Wide. Real wide, powerful. You can also, I get a lot of questions, can you use it as a lipless crankbait? Absolutely. I've used it through schooling fish, cast it straight out and reel it straight in, or just a pump and reel through them. I'll show you an alteration to the bait I do later on, which really adds to the bait when fishing schooling fish and cranking it straight in. When I crank it straight in, a lot of times, if I'm trying to keep it higher in the water column, I put it in the fourth hole. And a lot of times when customers are talking to me and ask me what hole I'm using, whenever I say first, second, third, or fourth, I'm always referring from the head back. So when you put it in that fourth hole, you could reel it slower and keep it higher in the water column. That pitch pushes it up, and you get some good action, and you don't have to really burn it. If you put it in closer to the head, you're going to have to reel it a little faster to keep it up, and the vibration is going to be a little softer, a little bit more tail wag. When it comes to where you put it in on the bait, I usually start off with the third hole. It gives you the hardest, most consistent vibration, especially if you're starting out and you're getting used to the vibration. I recommend using that third or fourth hole. The first and second are going to give you a more like a wag, really flip out, inconsistent from each jig to the next. Same thing with the fourth. And interestingly enough, with the fourth hole, if you're vertical jigging, it really kicks back, almost kicks backwards like a crawfish. It's pretty interesting when you're vertically fishing it. But it's important to experiment because you never know what the fish are going to give you. As far as color, find the fish first. That's what I recommend, finding the fish first. If I fish with someone, a lot of times we start out silver or gold, but color, look at that. I thought I felt something. See that Kistler rod? Feels everything. He's got all three trebles in his mouth. There you go. One of my best baits I've been using. These baits are snagging machines. One of my favorite ones, though, I've managed to have over years. Half silver, half gold. So, we just came out with Sexy Shad and Chartreuse Blue Back, which are pretty popular. Chartreuse Blue Back, we've had great luck with smallmouth and walleye. But it's key to experiment with color. I find I do very well on gold with perch cut when there's perch in the lake. Also a lot of those dark cedar colored lakes like up in Canada and the Northeast. Silver's great for really clear lakes, but it's just all about experimentation. When it comes to size, another big question I get is when do you use the quarter, when do you use the half, 3/4? One of the biggest things I've heard is guys go, oh, I was fishing 20, 30 feet, so I didn't use the 1/4 ounce. Never think like that. That has nothing to do with it. It's all about contact. If you're sitting in dead calm water and you could feel that 1/4 ounce on bottom, I don't care if it's 20, 30, 40 feet, try it. A lot of times that 1/4 ounce is great when it's dead calm, or you want to go a little bit finesse, a little bit smaller. But it's all about contact. Same thing with the 3/4. I mean, 3/4 I'll use shallow if there's a lot of wind, and you need to feel that bait, and you need to feel the feedback from it so you know you're working it properly. So size all depends just on what the fish want and contact, not really depth. There's one. This one's a good fighter. Just steady pressure.
And now this is a decent fish, and all it was just soft mush.
See, this plays out exactly what I was talking about before. See how they swiped at it right underneath the chin there? Got some girth to him. Some nice wide fish there. See? Hook popped right out. Once it got some slack in the line, see that? Constant pressure. See? That's a solid fat fish. These fish are a blast. I know there's some smallies and largemouth in here, great quality, but I just can't get enough of these. Sometimes those fish are suspended just off bottom. And a lot of people ask, how do you get those fish? Well, you can make some adjustments on your Lowrance, and it makes it really easy. What you do is, first of all, you turn up your ping speed really high, and then you turn up your gain, and you'll be able to see you drop your Binsky right down to the bottom, and you'll see that slash go right through your screen. And what you can do is reel up a little bit and then give the Binsky like a hard couple jerks, and you'll see the waves on your screen. So if you're on 20 foot, you take a couple cranks up, you want to see exactly where your bait is, give it a good couple hard jerks, and you'll just see that appear on your screen, and you'll see where you're at, and you can make adjustments to where you want to be in the water column, and you can put that bait right in front of a fish's face, and it's really not complicated. So it's the ping speed. I turn it up to like 90%, 95%, and then turn up your gain, and you can vertically fish, and you can see right where your bait is. Here we go. Fish on. They just move slightly. Dog in it. Now he made a run other side of the boat. Steady retrieve. And he disappears. That was bad hook. Let me just get the hook out here. Nice fish. That is a solid fish right there. This is why I love the Binsky. I mean, you can talk about any other style of bait, but the reason I love it and made it strikes by recognition. The fish realize this bait does not look normal. Looks like an injured fish. And fishing is all about presenting the ultimate feeding opportunity, and that's what the Binsky replicates. These fish see it as a worthwhile effort to chase after that bait, because they see success when they see that action. They see that action, they're like, I'm gonna eat this thing because it's injured or it's hurt. They don't want to waste a lot of energy, they want an easy meal. And the Binsky does that very, very well. There we go. Hooked up here. And that fish hit practically right underneath the boat. Not a bad chunk. One thing I like to do, it's a little safety tip when I fish in cold water like this, a lot of times I like to net my fish because you don't want to go over in the drink. So it's just a thing I like to do, especially in the wintertime or if I'm fishing by myself. So let's see if we can get some more. All right, here. One of the baits I'm throwing right now is a homemade modified Binsky here.
with a Colorado blade on the back with a good swivel, so you get a lot of vibration and easy turn on it. And one thing you want to do too is modify the middle hook then. And what I do is take off the size 6 that's on that 1/2 ounce and put a size 4 on there. Give it some bigger bite. I don't go too heavy of a gauge. I go with a 4, like an owner needle point is a great hook. And this, a lot of times people go, well, what's the difference between flutter spoon and a blade bait? Well, the big difference between the metals is, you know, on a flutter spoon the action's on the way down. On a blade bait, the action's on the way up. You know, on the blade bait, the fall is pretty much a dead fall. So that is a big difference. But with adding that blade on the back, now you have a lot of action on the way down with the blade bait. And just that added vibration, I mean, customers who fish the Binsky know already the vibration is pretty intense. But adding that blade on the back just gives a whole new look. It's great for schooling fish. Like a lot of customers ask when it's a great time to use it in the summer, is on those schooling fish or suspended fish, and adding that blade on the back is great for going for those summertime fish. Largemouth. You whacked it. No trophy. He whacked it. And this is on the modified silver with the Colorado blade that I dyed orange. So, aggressive little guy. Getting over some structure now. Here we go.
Got him.
That's right. There we go. Another fish. Small, but action. Fish on. Wow, he's a chunk. Nailed it on the drop again.
They're liking that Colorado blade Binsky.
They're loving it. Last 3 fish, I believe, were on that.
Yeah.
So, pretty fish. Good color right off the drop. A lot of that blade bait, this action, a lot of it's on the way up. You get that shimmy. But adding that blade on the back there adds a whole new element. Now you got a lot of action going down when that spins. Fish seem to be loving it. Fish is fighting awkward. He ain't fighting like a hybrid. Oh, it is a hybrid. Boy, he hit weird. Yep, not giant.
Going back to that blade.
They're going for it, so why change it, right?
Yeah.
These are just strong, healthy fish, boy. Back-to-back cast here. This one feels a little healthier than that last one. They feel great. Kistler Z-bone. Phenomenal. Phenomenal feel. Go. Now that was a healthy hit. He socked it. Alright, right now I'd just like to show you a couple extra tips to help you get that extra bite or two when you're on the water. One of them is one of my favorite products out there, is Spike It Blade Dip. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the blade dye for soft plastics and stuff like that. But I came across their blade dip, and I found a hard time finding their retailers, but I went online and got it off their website. But what I do here is I take one of my Binsky's, gold or silver, I just take some pliers, and one thing you want to do is rub the blade a little bit with your fingers. Something about the oils, I think, in your fingers makes that finish come out even better. So I just rub this a little bit. I usually leave my hooks on. I mean, you can take them off, but it's more trouble than what it's worth. So I just dip that in there. I'm gonna make a green one right now. Shake it out a little bit. I dab the nose so I don't drip it everywhere. There's a little bit extra on the head there. And there you go, lime green Binsky. What I do then is I'll take it like this one, and I'm going to hang it up to let it dry. And this color right here, like I said, is lime green. There's your Spike It blade dip. This product is awesome in my opinion. I mean, it's not expensive at all. The amount of baits you can do with it is incredible. It lasts forever. When I first tried it, I got one color, and I ended up going back on their site and buying every one they had. I got purple, blue, chartreuse, lime green, red, orange, Binskys. One of my favorites is pink. I had a lot of good luck on pink. So I encourage you to check that product out. Another thing I really like is using dress trebles. This one I got a white feather here. I like white, sometimes with white and chartreuse. One of my favorites is hard to find, but black. A black dress treble, to me, I love it. I think it's really natural. If you think of when you look in the water and you see small bait fish, a lot of times what your eye catches first is their little black tail. So I like to, if I just find white ones and I want to make it black, I just color it or dye it black. But I think it adds a really natural look to it, and I catch a lot of fish with dress treble hooks on the rear. Again, today, as you saw in action, we have the ones with the blades. This is Colorado, but you can dress them up with Indiana and little small willow leaf blades. Just have a really good swivel on there, good quality, so it spins easy. And like I said, this adds a lot of action, and you'll get that action now with the blade on the way up and the way down. Here's just for another example. There's a gold one with a copper colored blade. The other thing, one other thing to mention with this is if you do this, again I mentioned earlier, change your middle hook, since you only got one set of trebles on there, to a size 4 I like. Don't have to go too heavy gauge, like I said. I really like the owner needle points. And finally, one of my highly recommended things, I tell a lot of customers this, these blade baits, if you're using them in the right areas, you're gonna get snagged. It's just a casualty of the tactic. So I make a plug knocker. You could buy them in stores, but a lot of times I'm fishing depths that go deeper than 20 or 25 feet. So what I did is I took like a little piece of rod, broken rod, and I put a reel on there spooled up with 50-pound Dacron. And what you do is, I got a 6-ounce bank sinker here that you use in the ocean. Just cut off the end and get a couple screw eyelets. Get a heavy one here, and in the middle get 2 screw-in ones. And what you want to do, as you can see here, once you screw those in, offset it a little bit. Offset it and pull it in so you could get your line in there, and offsetting it will also make sure it doesn't slip off your line when you're sending it down. Also, you can go to the hardware store and just cut a couple little pieces of chain and put it on there, and that'll grab the hooks. Another important thing is, since the lead is so soft, get yourself some epoxy and just put it in the holes that you screw in there, and that'll solidify it, because with the lead being so soft, if you just try to do it once you screw it in here, they'll pull out. But this will save you a ton of money. I feel bad, customers are like, man, I lost them, and I understand. I use these baits a lot and I lose a ton. So this will save you sometimes $50, $70 in a day, and it's really worth it. A lot of customers say, yeah, I should make one of those, and then after a couple trips they end up calling me and going, can you send me more specific details, because I just lost a bunch of baits. So I highly recommend this. It's well worth the effort. I hope some of these tips helped you out and gave you a lot more confidence in fishing the Binsky blade bait, and believe me, this bait will give you more vibration and deeper depths than any blade bait you're going to throw out there. And I hope we showed you some tips today that you're going to be able to put to use and help you get those extra bites in the water and put another tactic in your arsenal. Thank you.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. Yeah. Get a feeling that I never had before. No, I I get a good feeling, yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. Get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling.